it's interesting because we are in this transitional moment where people don't really know what to do because, as you said, the traditional model, the sport industry has relied on media rights for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And that has been the primary business model.
Yeah.
80% of the revenue or 70% of the revenue were coming from that revenue source. But suddenly, things start changing. Consumers start consuming content differently. You need to monetize it. So now to be successful on the business side, you cannot wait for one big paycheck.
Yeah.
But you have to do multiple things to get the same money.
Exactly.
So it's multiple business models that fits into one.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges that some investors are having when coming into sports.
Yeah.
Not really understanding all the different revenue sources and opportunities.
Yeah.
And looking at just one big bucket, and they're trying to put you into a box. Okay, but what's your business model?
Yeah.
This is your business model. No, sports is about many different business models.
Yeah. And that's super interesting, right? Working a lot with VCs and private equities, it's like that understanding of what's happening on the day-to-day operational side of things. The reality, as you said, people were just expecting that revenue from rights. They kind of optimized ticketing and merchandising because those were the major sources of revenue. They optimized the sponsorship element of sponsoring the jersey. But the reality is that we've been on that model for 20 years where it was like, you need more revenue in venue, build a bigger stadium and project for it. Like try to increase the value, try to internationalize a little bit your sponsors. But the reality is now what happens on the first party data capture, right? Like you've never been focused on that. This is the gold mine of every social media platform. How do we work on that, right? And it takes multiple layers of from top of the funnel acquisition of people from social media to capture first party data on your proprietary platform and all the ways in which you can capture that data and share it with people. You have to become more intelligent. You have to understand your IP better as an organization to be able to drive a company strategy in a direction that is unique to you versus the just general standard of the TV price that which is coming in your pocket according to your ranking in the championship.
And also, it's about understanding your audience, your data better, because the sponsorship model, which is has been historically the second largest revenue source for the sport industry, has become more complex.
Yep.
And sponsors are more sophisticated now in terms of what they ask. What they want. It's not anymore about just the brand visibility. It's like, how this sponsorship translate into real business results.
Yeah.
So how are you working on that space? What are the companies or the product that you think are at the gold standard and the absolutely every sport organization in the world should have to bring or to demonstrate somehow that return investment back to their sponsors?
And that's an incredibly hard one, right? Because historically it was just like going to sell the sponsorship. It was like a VIP suite, it was all about that local element, right? And now with the shifting industry and the reach on social media and the internationalization of communities, one thing that's incredibly hard, and like going back to the LiveLike example again, is like, if you don't have the infrastructure to capture your first party data and consolidate it, you'll only be able to address a certain typology of sponsors that are going to be after the reach, right? But so you need to align so many layers inside a commercial like a strategy for it. You need to be able to capture the first party data. You need to be able to feed that infrastructure. You need to be able to have a sales rep that knows how to sell digital, right? It's not only going to be about the reach that you get through the linear kind of broadcast. It's going to be how qualified is your data and how many people do you have in that database that I can actually segment and target, right? And so you need to have that digital person that knows how to sell it. You have to be able to address the sponsors that are interested in not the reach, but also like the quality of the people at the bottom, right? And so you actually have to do an exercise as an organization of classifying the different typology of fans, what information you have on them, and who you can address on the market. And so when you look at all of that, you have to build a tech stack, and clubs and leagues aren't technology companies, right? They're starting to become them, but you have to teach them that you have to invest, you have to structure it in a way. And if you deploy a plan, you're going to generate revenue, but you're not just going to replace that short-term money that you got without doing anything anymore, without putting some investment and some effort in building a strategy.
When I hear you talking and about what you do and the way you see the industry, I feel very, very close because when I was at Meta and at Twitter, people were asking me, what's your job? Like, what's your day to day? And the best way I was describing it, it's like I'm a translator. I translate engineering language into sports language and sports language into engineering language. Yeah. Because sometimes when you talk to startup, when you talk to people that are more of a technical background and they think about problem solving in a way, it's not the same, or it doesn't address really the problems that the industry has. And I remember when I was there, I was talking to the product team. Sometimes they would say, "Oh, we have developed this amazing product for sports." And I'm like, this is not going to work. We need to tweak that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, we have developed this product. We need the sport industry to use it." And it's like, okay, how can I make or position this product to sports clubs, leagues, to really create value for them?
Yeah. And that's what's so hard, right? Like the sports industry is one where it can not only be a product team thinking about like other organizations and other industries who have succeeded and just think that they're going to be able to deploy it because the needs are very different. And so I think that it is, and because of the relationship element as well, like servicing well, the servicing part is fundamental in the sports industry. So a lot of your innovation and product, like the efforts that you're going to put into product should be through the market feedback that you get and like solving problems for organizations rather than thinking, I'm going to create a product that people are going to be willing to invest in to get future revenue. It's going to be more like, how can I solve 4 problems to begin with? And then once I create the relationship, how do I layer in those value added services on top of it? But it's a really interesting exercise. And that's also a little bit like the Facebook strategy in sports, which moved from being super ambitious to like kind of reshaping it in a certain format. It's because the social media industry have had to have a look at product, and they have very a product decision making had to be done at a product level, right? Like pure KPIs. It's not a sentimental one. It's a really product performance kind of 100%. And the sports industry to work with the clubs is a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, and in the sports, you always have that sense of proudness, of emotion that it's hard to translate sometimes into spreadsheet.
Yeah,
and this is something. This is a thing that I always tell, a story I tell. I was sitting in a meeting where we were discussing how we were going to allocate. At the time, we had a big ambition of by different sports rights where we were launching Facebook Watch. That was 2017, 2018. And we were discussing with different sport properties to get some premium content, live games. We did the deal with Ligue, we did the deal with CONMEBOL and with UEFA in Latin America. And I remember sitting in a room with some product people, the product people of that were launching Facebook Watch or the video platform and the video ecosystem. And at some point, I had one engineer saying, "But wait a second, why are we investing into all this content?
Yeah.
When if we look at the numbers, I see people, these people doing cats videos, and the engagement is way higher. But when it doesn't make sense. And one of the KPIs that we were looking at was cost per watch hour. So we were looking at how much content we were putting in the platform, how many watch hours we were generating, and based on the budget we were putting there, how much did it cost? So it was like a way of measuring the efficiency. And the engineers were saying, but these people creating cats videos are generating much more video views. So we should be investing into these people, not in the sport. And that's where you realize, like, okay, there's a misconnection here. And if you only look at the spreadsheet, you don't get the full picture.
And that's the thing, right? And we know it because we're in this industry, right? But I'm just taking the example. I read an article recently about the Louis Vuitton family. So the son of the Louis Vuitton owner acquires Paris FC, and he moves from a world where nobody was stopping him to everybody in the street stopping him and saying thank you. And like, there's that element of the sports industry that is very different. Like, cats videos will work as well, but what is the actually beyond the sport, beyond the metric on your sport? What is the value for the owner of the club? And this is why also the club valuations are super complicated in sports, right? Because it's like, what are your metrics? They're not your standard typical financial metrics.
no valuation is sustained.
And you kind of take 2 times the revenue of the club and the potential. It never actually makes sense at the end of the day. It's just like, that it's going to keep rising. And for the moment, it feels like that's one place that is really uncapped, is the value of the clubs for the moment versus the media rights. And that's what's interesting. But all the side effects of like being in the sports industry and working, there's a lot of non-measurable metrics of value that actually have a huge importance, because the reality is like locally, the association of your brand, if you have another business to carry it, like that's where you're going to get the value out of it versus the pure sports performance side of things. But when it comes to Facebook or the big tech giants, they don't care about all of that. It's just about their rational, pragmatic, Amazon coming to Ligue 1, getting enough subscribers on their Prime kind of subscription, and then leaving. I have my KPIs. I was here for user acquisition. I had that many more users on my platform. I don't need to reinvest in that because I know that I'm not going to go get more users. And that's what's very different in our industry as well now.